Tino.
On November 4th, 2025, Cebu, one of the most populous islands in the Philippines, faced the devastating impact of Taifun Tino, internationally known as Kalmaegi. This powerful tropical system brought winds of up to 205 kilometers per hour and dumped a month's worth of rain on the region in just 24 hours, leaving cities, towns, and rural areas largely submerged and displacing hundreds of thousands of people. The typhoon, which affected Cebu and its surroundings, was recorded as the 20th tropical cyclone to hit the country this year. According to a statement by the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, PAGASA, Tino's wind speed reached 150 kilometers per hour, exceeding 205 kilometers in sudden bursts. This speed not only knocked down power lines, but also knocked out telecommunication systems in many areas. The typhoon made landfall near the town of Bourbon, north of Cebu, in the early hours of the morning, then moved towards western Visayas, causing widespread destruction in settlements such as Mandaue, Talisay, Danao, Liloan, and Consolacion. According to information in Pagasa's Tropical Cyclone Bulletin number 13, storm force winds, heavy rainfall, and storm surges exceeding 3 meters were observed in the northern and central regions of Cebu affected by the typhoon. This posed a serious threat, particularly to communities living along the coastline. The Cebu City Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Office was on alert starting Sunday. Teams deployed heavy equipment in high-risk areas, removed loose billboards, ordered marine vessels to be moved to safe areas, and equipped evacuation centers with generators, food, and emergency supplies. However, despite the precautions taken, the rapidly developing nature of the typhoon brought much greater destruction than expected. In Cebu City, where Tino's worst effects were felt, Bachayan Barangay was quickly submerged. Floodwaters uprooted vehicles and piled them on top of each other. Roads, bridges, and some neighborhood connections were completely cut off. The Villa del Rio area was one of the worst affected due to infrastructure collapse and sudden water rise. The collapse of a river bridge in the area blocked access for rescue vehicles and hampered the work of teams. The city's disaster response teams said operations would proceed slowly due to deep water levels and strong currents. Calls for help made via cell phones revealed that the number of families stranded on rooftops was increasing. Cebu City Disaster Risk Reduction. Council Chairman and City Council member Dave Tumilag stated that winds battered the city between 3:45 a.m. and 7:30 a.m., during which time rescue teams were held at shopping malls for safety reasons, but were immediately dispatched to the field once the winds subsided. Tumilag said more than half of the city was underwater, and thousands of people were forced to leave their homes. The amount of rainfall brought by the typhoon was extraordinary. According to Pagasa records, 235.2 millimeters of rain fell in 24 hours in Maysin City and South Leyte alone. This amount exceeded the average for November, meaning that the rainfall expected for an entire month fell in a single day. The towns of Talisay, Mandaue, Liloan, and Consolacion, located around the Mactan Channel, were also completely submerged due to heavy downpours. A red alert level was issued for these areas. Road transportation was disrupted throughout Cebu. Power lines were down, communications were cut off, and dozens of neighborhoods were inaccessible. Announced on its social media account that additional rescue teams had been sent to the cities of Talisay and Danao It was reported that
das ist
floodwaters
die
rose to the
Nachbarin von
second
Cebu.
floors in Barangay Talamban and Baccayan, and half of some neighborhoods were completely swallowed by the
Wir
river.
haben echt ein Glück
According to
gehabt.
information obtained from local
Uns hat's da
residents,
nur
the
gestraft.
water levels suddenly rose at around 4:30 a.m. and reached the second floors of houses. This caused many residents to take refuge on their roofs. Rescue teams continued their work, particularly among the rubble of destroyed houses along the Baccayan River. The situation remains serious in the southern neighborhoods of Cebu, as well as in the northern parts. Residents in areas such as Baccayan, Villa del Rio, Talisay, and Minglanilla were directed to evacuation centers at the request of
Okay, jetzt habe ich
authorities.
vergessen. Moment.
Officials urged residents to make landfall in the Silago area of South Leyte, then move through the cities of
Übersetzung müssen wir
Borbon and
jetzt selber.
Sake, heading towards western Visayas. As of 11 a.m., Calmaegi had passed over Negros and Panay and was heading towards northern Palawan.
Ja, heute kommt er
It
noch
is expected to
auf
exit the
Palawan.
Philippine area of responsibility on Wednesday night or Thursday morning. In eastern Samar, strong winds blew off roofs on Homanhon Island, with approximately 300 homes reported damaged. Mayor Annalisa Gonzalez Kwan announced that there were no casualties despite the heavy winds and rain. However, the same region was being watched with great concern as it lay in the path of Taifun Haiyan, locally known as Yolanda, one of the most violent storms in the country's history in 2013. Haiyan killed more than 7,300 people in the Gayawan area alone and devastated the central part of the country. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, PHIVOLCS, warned residents around Mount Canlaon in southern Cebu that the heavy rains accompanying the typhoon could trigger volcanic mudflows. This posed an additional risk, particularly for villagers living in mountainous areas. Approximately 150,000 people were evacuated across Cebu due to Taifun Tino. Disaster response teams organized additional shipments of food, water, and medicine as crowds grew at evacuation centers. The government announced that search and rescue operations would continue throughout the day and would not be halted despite adverse weather conditions. Pagasa officials announced that the typhoon is expected to head towards the South China Sea as it moves westward, and that rainfall will continue in some areas of Visayas and Luzon before it leaves the country. They also emphasized that there is a high risk of landslides due to soil saturation after the storm. Although Tino was the 20th tropical cyclone to hit the Philippines in 2025, it was considered one of the most destructive storms of the year due to the breadth of the area it affected and the scale of the destruction it left behind. The system, with a wind band approximately 600 kilometers long, paralyzed Cebu and its surroundings in just hours. The people of Cebu were once again forced to test their resilience in the face of this new disaster brought by Tino, while authorities urged the public to be cautious, avoid unnecessary movement in risky areas, and follow new meteorological warnings. Rescue teams accelerated their search for missing persons as the floodwaters receded. The Philippines, once again a nation battling the forces of nature, is preparing to erase the traces of this disaster through solidarity and resilience. We extend our deepest sympathies to the people of Cebu and all of the Philippines affected by Taifun Tino. We hope that the wounds will heal as soon as possible, life will return to normal, and the people of Cebu will once again enjoy peaceful and secure days. While natural disasters affect lives around the world, we continue to report on these events accurately, reliably, and in an informative manner on our channel. Our goal is not to create fear or panic, but to raise awareness and transparently share what is happening in disaster areas. If you also want to follow natural disaster developments around the world, don't forget to subscribe to our channel.